Final exams at tertiary institutions are currently underway, and experts say at this time of the year, many students suffer from increased anxiety and depression. In some cases, it does lead to suicide or suicide attempts. Well, educational psychologist Ken Resnick is with us this morning to talk about the pressure many students face throughout the year. Ken, good morning.
Good morning.
And thanks for your time. Now, usually at this time of year, or when we talk about this issue, we're talking about those who are writing matric exams. We hardly ever hear about those who have already moved on to university thinking, okay, they have a bit of an easier life, but seeing that there are so many suicide attempts among youth there. What is the reason? What are we seeing?
I think there are a number of factors, but a big factor that I've noticed over the years is a lot of kids are doing a degree because they've been told to do it. Yeah. Their parents have sort of designed their career for them, and it's not negotiable. They end up starting a degree which is very different to matric, and they're not enjoying it. They don't do well. Pressure builds up, and of course they're letting their parents down. So often they're starting to fail already mid-year. And that pressure is unreal because the parents often are not negotiable. And then if they do happen to fail, they then might go and enroll for another degree and then find that that is also not what they want to do, increasing the pressure and feeling that they're failures. The whole life at varsity is so different to school.
And there's lots of money involved, more money I would imagine that's involved in like 1 year here.
Absolutely, and also they're left on their own. They're not being spoon-fed. They've got to sort themselves out when it comes to studying. The volume of work is much more. They might find the subjects are nowhere near what they thought they would be. If you take a BCom, which I know has the highest dropout rate, they think it's a gateway to money. But when they see some of the subjects, you know, it's economics and a few other subjects, it becomes very difficult and it makes them depressed.
Do you see a lot of these cases with students who still attend varsity, living at home with their parents, or those who are away from home? Do you see more of those? Because now that's a completely different world.
Yeah. Statistically, I don't know. Yeah. But I would imagine the ones away from home could cope a little bit better because they've got to be a bit more independent. Whereas the ones at home maybe have been staying at home all their lives, been very dependent. They could have had too much done for them. They might lack the drive and the zest to go into the bigger world. And when the big world hits them and all the distractions of varsity from the rag to the sport and so on.
The social side of things.
The social side of things sometimes takes over and the next minute.
So what support is there on campus for anyone who might need someone to talk to?
I think most campuses will have a counselling facility. They certainly have a career counselling facility if they would like to go and talk. People are a bit reluctant to go for help. It's quite interesting. They don't want to feel there's something wrong with them. It would be interesting to see the stats. But there would be support. I mean, there's a psychological faculty at most universities. There's a counselling faculty. And I don't know if kids take up those opportunities because, once again, you've got the parent in the background wondering what's wrong with their kid, perhaps, and so on.
And are the sort of adequately trained professionals who are there? Are they proper psychologists? Are they proper, sort of in the field that you're in? Are they well equipped to do that?
I doubt it. And number two, psychology is a strange profession because a very young psychologist hasn't lived life. So it often might be difficult for them to relate properly to what somebody's gone through from their childhood, from their confidence factors, their disappointments, how they've dealt with things, because psychology is a lot about life and the experiences you've had.
But would it not work in their favor that they might be closer to the age of a student or having just gone through that more recently?
No question. No question. They should be certainly well enough trained because you'll have a fairly common trend coming through with a lot of the students that are really, really battling. But I know I gave a talk not that long ago, BCom students, and over 80% were doing the BCom because they were told to, and they were not happy with their career.
So which takes us back to the question, Ken, then is where do we start to prevent this from happening? Not when we get to the first year and see that this is not working. You spoke about planning, you spoke about parents choosing careers. So we go all the way back to grade what in high school?
Well, you should go back to grade 11. I think the varsities maybe need to screen a bit better, look at the child's motivation, how much research they've been doing on the career that they want to do, maybe do some type of assessment to see if their interests correlate with the actual personality. There would be different better screening ways, and then interview the parents as well, so that the parents are more open to a child maybe wanting to do fine arts and they determine they want to do a BCom. something like that.
So someone like you, an educational psychologist, is someone who would be able to do that kind of assessment.
Yeah,
and more or less, whatever you found, it works.
It definitely works, because I call the parents in. And I try and speak on the child's behalf, because the kids don't have power. The parents have the power, but I try and get the parents to look at it more objectively. I'm giving him feedback on information the child has given me, and he might be totally unsuited to a BCom.
Yeah.
And I've got to help them understand that life is not all about just making money. They might have different interests. They might want to go and just help people, and money is not important.
And just very quickly, before I let you go, Ken, anybody who's battling at this point, as you and I sit here speaking this morning, if they don't want to go to that counsellor on campus, what are their options?
They need to see somebody. They need to see, because it's all about trust for the young person. So they do need to see somebody. They mustn't talk to their friends. That's not going to help. They need to see somebody.
And we know there's Lifeline, there's SADAG, there's all of these organizations out there. So look at that. Thank you very much, Ken. And thanks for that. So you're not alone if you're out there battling with exams, battling with the choices that you're left with at this time of year, especially if you're in varsity.